You have noticed that your tomatoes grown in a greenhouse or in a container have black spots on the lower part. How can this be remedied? This blossom end rot, this black spot at the base of the tomato, called blossom end rot of the tomato, is not a disease, it is a deficiency. Let's try to understand what's happening with our tomato plants. When we observe tomatoes at different stages, at the green stage, like this first tomato, you can see that it is slightly imprinted with black color. The second one is a bit more black in color, and as it ripens, it continues to darken further. If we look at the last tomato, which is green at the end of our tomato plant, it has remained intact, it is nice and green, so in principle, it should not have blossom end rot. What is happening? I mentioned a calcium deficiency. This is a tomato plant grown in a container. We will find the same phenomenon in greenhouses and under cover. Outside, we rarely have this disease. Another observation on these different tomato plants, since here there is a round tomato, we do not observe blossom end rot, the famous black bottom. This is mainly intended for tomatoes that are long, like the horned tomato, the Andean horned tomato, or Roma tomatoes, all of which are rather elongated. What exactly is happening with these tomatoes? It is simply a lack of water, a period of drought for these tomato plants, but especially irregular watering. That is to say, these are tomato plants that have suffered from a dry period followed by a wet period. During the dry period, when there is a lack of water, the tomato plant has difficulty absorbing calcium because calcium is transported by water and moves up the stem gradually. Due to the lack of calcium, this type of disease is observed. So, those tomatoes affected by blossom end rot, eat them without hesitation. We are going to cut a red tomato, and if you essentially remove the black side, you will basically observe that you can consume what remains on the other side. There it is nice and red, so don't hesitate to consume them. The only remedy is watering. So water your tomato plants more regularly and consistently in those grown in containers or in a greenhouse using a watering can. You can also install a drip system, or why not a watering hose system for them. To prevent your tomato plants from drying out, even if they are grown in a container, why not add some flax straw? If you grow your tomatoes in a container or pot, don't hesitate to add other plants, to sow other moisture-indicating plants, such as basil. Above all, apply a tomato fertilizer added at the time of planting and continue throughout its growth until the end to have beautiful, large, juicy, and flavorful tomatoes.